A Southern white woman's take on the Kendrick Lamar halftime performance at the Super Bowl. Here we go.
Hi, white woman here. I'd like to talk about the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl performance.
You know I don't do sports, you know I don't do football, so I wasn't watching the game. But listen, I think today Donald Trump is going to sign an executive order banning black people from halftime. Because...
What's up everybody, how are you doing? Hope you are doing great. Welcome back to the channel guys, and first of all I'd like to thank each and every one of you for the support which I've given to this channel. Subscribing, liking, sharing and even commenting. I do really appreciate. I don't just take it for granted. So guys, continue subscribing, sharing and all that. Continue supporting this channel. Now in our today's episode, we are going to be talking about the Super Bowl halftime show which was performed by Kendrick Lamar. This was done in the course of this week, and guys, all of you know that the performance was very lit. Now, white women emotionally reacted to the performance of Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl halftime show. They say that the performance was amazing. They were really impressed. So guys, I'd like us to check these videos out, and I'll be right back to more commentary.
A Southern white woman's take on the Kendrick Lamar halftime performance at the Super Bowl. Here we go. I loved it. I don't even listen to his music. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm some kind of mega fan. I don't know most of his stuff. But oh my lord, when he came out and said, "The revolution will be televised. The right time, the wrong guy." Oh my god. I understood the assignment. He literally had such beautiful symbolism threaded through his entire performance, from Serena Williams crip walking to Samuel L. Jackson as Uncle Sam, the American flag divided, the dancers who performed and did the move where they had their backs up to show how America was built on the backs of black Americans who were treated unjustly for so many years. Man, he killed it. And the subliminal messaging and symbolism just went right over all of MAGA's head. But those who were supposed to get the assignment got the assignment. I got the assignment.
You know, one of the lines that has become clear to me in Kendrick Lamar's performance last night is 40 acres and a mule. And that line is particularly potent for many black Americans. And it happens to be a line that I remember from my education growing up in grade school in the Bronx. And I vaguely remember what it was about. It was something that was promised enslaved people. I can't remember whether I was told it was before or after emancipation, but it had to do with the Civil War. And I've since had my memory refreshed, and it was something that the federal government promised enslaved people that they would get, and it would help them get a head start. But as with many promises given to Native Americans, they didn't come through. And I never really equated 40 acres and a mule, because it was not something that really ever touched my life. But in thinking about it this morning, I never really equated it with something else that was very important to American life, which was the Homestead Act. Now, if you don't recall the Homestead Act, for some reason, there's a lot of American history that was that really stayed with me. And the Homestead Act was an act that the federal government felt was extremely important because they wanted to populate the Midwestern part of our country, the prairie. And so they offered 160 acres free and clear to people who would farm the land, ranch the land. I guess it was really only good for farming. But they would give free and clear 160 acres to people, and they had mapped out a huge swath of prairie land. And it was white people who took that land. And that's how a lot of our Midwest cities came into being. And they didn't rescind that promise. They gave 160 acres to people free and clear. And all they had to do was stake it out. And this may be apocryphal, but I seem to remember in class hearing how there was a date and they had people lining up and they set off a bell and you could just go and stake out your plot of land and it was yours and you could farm it. And that was the beginning of generational wealth for a lot of white people. A lot of these people came from Germany and Middle European countries, and they got a stake in this country. And here we have enslaved people who were brought over against their will and finally released from bondage and promised for their servitude they would be given 40 acres and a mule, and a mule. And they got nothing. And they had to start from scratch. Just a thought. Think about that. Think about how you'd feel if that promise was made to you and then you were just blown off. Okay, that's it. See you next time.
Hi, white woman here. I'd like to talk about the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl performance. It was absolute perfection in every way. The artistry, the symbolism, the music. You know, here's the thing. Even if it wasn't your type of music, it was still really, really amazing how each song with the performance meshed together with the message. The opening sequence when he was on the car and then he was in the middle of the flag, the way I looked at that was America was built on the backs of Black people, slaves. That's how America was built, okay? And that's how I took that scene. And when he said 40 acres and a mule, I didn't know that that's what was offered to slaves. I had no idea, because guess what? I wasn't taught that. And the one thing for someone like me, I grew up in white America, Southwest Pennsylvania, okay? Like 90% of my area is white people. So I grew up, the only reference I have for Black culture is through music. I grew up with Tupac, Dr. Dre, NWA, Ice Cube, Mystical, and Master P, even Biggie and Puff Daddy. I mean, I hate to say that, but that was just like growing up in the 90s, right? Like those were who a lot of people listened to. My first major news story was Rodney King. That's how I was introduced to how Black people are treated in America. Like, Black music for someone like me, I used it as like a learning tool. Like, oh my God, I had no idea this was going on. Like, oh my God, this is what I should, learn more about. Like, I took it as education. Obviously I liked the music, but I actually listened to what was being said, and then as much research as I could do at the time, talking to friends or whatever, and, reading, going to the library, going through the card catalog, reading about things, because we were never taught things in school. I was taught that George Washington had wooden teeth, had no idea that he had teeth made from his slaves. Like, no idea, because we weren't taught that. So I used Black music to teach me. And I also want to say, for the white people out there, that Super Bowl was for the Black community. That was for Black people. It was to us. We need to take that and we need to learn from it, because that messaging and that symbolism was so important. We cannot let that slip away from us to learn from and do better. Kendrick Lamar gave us an assignment Let's fucking take it, okay?
I am talking to people that look like me, who need the history lesson. Okay, got it? Good. I loved when Kendrick Lamar said, you can rig the system, but you cannot fake influence. And that is so important because this country has done its best to downplay the contributions and the achievements of the Black community. They have tried to make them second-class citizens that are unintelligent, are worthless, are lazy. But when you look at American culture and you really study the history of it, right, you see that almost all of it has been influenced by the Black community. They have been revolutionaries, visionaries, creative geniuses. Look at rap music. Rappers have been seen as thugs. However, the origins of rap music has always been poetry and storytelling. Beyonce started a great conversation about how Black people have been pushed out of country music, even though they are the originators of that genre. They've always been the largest visionaries when it comes to how we have revolutionized and progressed in this country when it comes to equal rights. Black culture has a large emphasis on community and pushes back on this rugged individualism that has left so many people behind. The game is rigged to silence those influences and that genius and those visions for a better future. And it is important that other people that look like me understand that and appreciate that, and to acknowledge the contributions of the Black community. Thank you so much.
You know I don't do sports. You know I don't do football, so I wasn't watching the game. But listen, I think today Donald Trump is going to sign an executive order banning Black people from halftime. Because you remember last week we were talking about whether the NFL was capitulating to Trump by removing the term "end racism" from the end zone. Yeah. Boy, did they not capitulate to Trump. When I saw Samuel L. Jackson dressed as a Black Uncle Sam introducing Kendrick Lamar, who then had like an entire formation of all Black people making a U.S. flag. Listen, this much I know. All the Black people on my feed were like, ooh, this is blackity black black. And all the racists who somehow get in, man, were they hopping mad. So if the racists are mad, I am happy as a clam. It was a huge celebration of New Orleans, and you can't celebrate New Orleans without celebrating Black culture. Yeah. Welcome to Black History Month, you all.
I didn't watch the game, but I watched the halftime show because I really like Kendrick Lamar. I have a 25 and 23-year-old daughters, right? So I gave them a musical education. They gave me a musical education. And I'll never forget the first time that they played him in the car like 10 years ago. And I went, who is this? Who is this? And they told me, and I was like, play more, play more. And now I love it because when they're DJing in the car, especially my youngest daughter, she'll put them on because she knows I really like them. I want to make a point. I know everybody is doing their deep philosophical takes on the halftime show, but this is just something that occurred to me many years ago. A person in my life who is no longer in my life, but is now MAGA, right? That didn't exist back then, but we were at a museum looking at art, and it became clear very quickly that in her mind, the only function of art is to be beautiful. That's it. There is no other function of art. Like if you have to think about it, or if it's even remotely ugly, she completely dismissed its value. And she was like, why would anyone want to look at art that's not beautiful? And I'm like, and I loved my art history classes in college. And so I'm trying in earnest to help her understand why art isn't just to be pretty and to make us happy. Now, here's the point. The halftime show is just another example of people like her, who we now have a term for them. We call them MAGA or MAGA. And that is, they don't want to think. They only want a thing to be the thing. If it's beyond that, they get angry and they get mad and they get frustrated. So last night, all the halftime show for someone with that kind of brain, all it's meant to do is sing and dance and entertain. That's it. Anything beyond that is too much for their little brains. And not only is it too much, it makes them mad. It pisses them off that they have to think, that they have to go, ooh, is there like a deeper message to this? Now, I think he did a really good job of making some of the messages not so obtuse that it gets lost. I think some of it was maybe a little obvious. I don't know. But they don't like that. They don't, especially when it comes to Black and brown people, don't do anything other than entertain me, give me a good experience, and then you go off and do your thing. They don't want any Black or brown person to actually challenge us or cause us to think or to wonder or to ask questions or to no. And they would see doing that at a halftime show as extremely inappropriate to do, because your job is to just entertain us. So anyways, I don't know if that matters. But it's just something that struck me this morning, is that they're so surface level, they're so one-dimensional, that to think deeply about these things. And this is a guy who won a Pulitzer Prize for his lyrics, right? So he's obviously going to make us think. But they don't like it. It pisses them off. And just one more thing. I love all of this was happening in New Orleans. I don't know why, but that gave me a lot of satisfaction. And I nearly fell out of my seat when I saw Serena Williams. I could not believe it. I was telling my daughter, I was like, oh my God. I was like, that's Serena Williams doing the crip walk. And I was like, she dated Drake, because I'm chronically online. And she was like, yes, Mom, I know. She's like, okay, take a deep breath. Anyways, it was great.
Welcome back, guys. And white women, we are really happy about Kendrick Lamar's performance at the Super Bowl halftime show. You know, guys, when I hear some white folks talking about Black culture, the history of the Blacks, the pain, the suffering that the Black people have endured, it really melts my heart. And what really got me annoyed is a Black person who said that the performance of Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl halftime show was disgusting. And if even the white folks can really recognize, can really appreciate, can really, be impressed by the work and the performance of Kendrick Lamar, who are you to be disgusted by what Kendrick did? I think and I feel that this is not charity, because guys, if something is good, and I don't see why everybody is saying all what Kendrick Lamar did was great, and you are here saying that the performance was disgusting. Guys, charity begins at home, and you should be proud of your brother. You should be proud of whatever your fellow Black man did. Yeah, so guys, from the video, and you can see how these white women are impressed, how they are happy about the performance which was done by Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl halftime show. And some people are coming out saying that, when Serena Williams joined Kendrick Lamar at the performance, it was all about dragging Drake down, and it was all a plan. But I think that, guys, that's what made the show lit, and from my own point of view, that's not like dragging Drake back, and it is a good performance by Kendrick Lamar, and that is what that's all that it was supposed to be, to be done. Other people are saying that it was all about, political, and I don't think and I don't see anything of the same. Another thing, guys, from the performance of the Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl halftime show is all about the art. Guys, art is symbolic, and if you don't see any symbolism in an art, then that is not an art. Look at how the girls who were dressed in white, how they performed at the show. Look at how the cameras were rolling. Look even at the Kendrick Lamar. I even think that now this time bell-bottom jeans are going to be sold at a very high rate because of Kendrick Lamar. Look at everything, how everything was performed, how everything was arranged at the Super Bowl halftime show, guys. Everything, like, the show was really lit, and everything was done amazingly. Yeah, so guys, the white women are really emotional, and they are happy about all this, and they are saying that Kendrick did even more than anybody would expect. Yeah, so guys, I'd like you to tell me what you think about the white women's reaction, and I'd like even you to tell me what you think about the performance by Kendrick Lamar. What do you think about everything in the show that was performed by Kendrick Lamar? Yeah, so guys, until the next episode, for now, goodbye.